All right, just doing a quick audio check. I am live right now. Right, I believe I'm live. I am. I am. All right, just waiting on somebody to come on here, and I'll let him introduce himself when he comes on. But some political talk. It's a debate. I'm still not even sure like what we disagree on just yet. But hey, there's always a disagreement. So we'll see. I'm sure it has a lot to do with Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, maybe third party candidates, and maybe the whole system altogether. All right. So who knows? Maybe we'll agree more than we disagree. I have no idea yet, to be honest. So here we are. Anyway, political climate, man. It's right. This is an interesting time, just to say the least. Right now, if I were to call this a boxing match, right? If I were to say, yeah, like if Hillary Trump was a boxing match, I would say that it's around the 8th round. Trump just got knocked down 3 times in the 7th in a close fight for the first 6 rounds, and he's hurt, right? He's hurting. He looked really, he looked hurt at the end of the 7th. And it's ding ding, we're going into the 8th round. And, he's falling behind the scorecards because of those knockdowns. He's hurt. Hillary's getting momentum. But every single time, it looks like Hillary has it in the bag. It never fails. Her camp, they just do some fucked up shit. It never fails. CNN just got caught forwarding Hillary Clinton the questions in advance. They got caught red-handed. I mean, you can't make this shit up. You cannot make this shit up. This is insane. All right. Anyway, Ben Umar, you're on. I know. Usually Google takes a minute sometimes for you to hear somebody when they come on. So. Oh, you on, bro?
Yeah, I'm here. My bad.
It's all good. All right, man. So what's going on? What's on your mind politically?
I really don't see this as a debate, so I was listening to you for a second. I don't really see it as us debating.
It's all good.
I just want to talk about all this fucking shit that's been going on today and this week.
It's some crazy shit. In a normal election, Hillary would have been a sitting duck and she would have been defeated easily by now, right? With all this email scandals and she just has a lot of scandals. She just does. The email thing, it's really no joke. I know a lot of people are dismissing the email thing because since she's running against Trump, but so when Trump brings it up, a lot of people just don't take it serious, but it is pretty serious, this email thing. But, it's most people, if they were not in that position of power, would have probably done some jail time. And that's the reality, right? So.
But the thing to me, hello?
Yeah.
The thing to me that got me today, I watched a video by a channel, right? And they got a lot of subs, like millions of subs. And they're sitting there saying, oh, I'm tired of hearing about the email thing. Like, have you people read the email? That's what kills me. Like, people don't even want to take the time, like, because visual and voice is more powerful than an email because nobody wants to take the time out to read what the fuck this woman's been doing.
I think they're assuming it's just her private email or something like that, but that's not what it is, So, yeah, a lot of scandalous stuff on the emails, that's for sure. Most of which I already speculated. It's not shocking to me, but it should be shocking to most people.
Like today, I just was reading. While I was out today, I was just reading up on some of the emails. Like one of her highest aides, a lady by the name of Jen Palmieri, and Paul DePodesta were having a back and forth about how basically Catholics and evangelicals and religious people in general are like basically backwards and they're horrible people and they're stupid and everything they believe in is dumb. But you still have fucking religious people voting for these people. These people don't care about religious people at all. This is why Hillary Clinton supports the half birth abortion and all this crazy shit that a lot of people don't support. Like it's a lot of stuff in these emails that's really fucked up. Like I don't know if you've been reading about Donna Brazile, and if you haven't read it yet, go read it. She's now the head of the DOC, and she was the lady that replaced Debbie Wasserman Schultz when she got caught in the Bernie Sanders shit. She gave Hillary Clinton the questions before she debated Bernie Sanders. Like, yep. This shit is crazy. Like, I don't understand how nobody's listening to this shit or reading up on it at all. They're just worried about Donald Trump's crazy ass grabbing women by the pussy or whatever he said. He's crazy too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Donald Trump supporter. I'm just saying it needs to be fair and balanced.
Well, look. Whenever the truth, whenever a politician looks human, it never shocks me. I mean, people need to understand that the fake person you see on TV is not the real person. You know what I mean? And as it turns out, even Donald Trump now is claiming that he's a different person behind closed doors than he is out in the open too. He's become a politician himself. But Hillary Clinton is not the person she presents herself to be. Hillary, and this is not just Hillary, this is just the Clintons in general. They are masters of looking at polling. And a lot of the mainstream media, I mean, I remember a couple years back, not a couple, like years back. You remember Larry King?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was caught on he was caught on a hot mic. And for those that don't know, that basically means when it's like off the record and they don't know they're being recorded, kind of like what happened to Trump. But he was caught saying something to Bill Clinton, literally, I would really love to serve you, like literally like serve him, like be his, be his guy, give him nothing but good news and good press. And this is supposed to be like somebody in the media, the Clintons have with the establishment have always been in bed with the establishment, basically, and the media is part of the establishment. And they've always been masters of looking at polling, looking at what's popular at the time, and making their agenda around that. So if at the time, like right now, the TPP is extremely unpopular for good reason, but it's unpopular. So even though Obama is for it, Hillary's coming out and saying she's against it. Now, anybody's a fool if they don't think she's for free trade. Of course she is, right? The Clintons always have been. But she's not going to say she's for it because it's the unpopular thing to say right now. So they also said some fucked up shit about, Bernie Sanders supporters, about Bernie Sanders himself. I think one of the things they said was, I remember there was an email that said, trying to remember, we should make Bernie Sanders out to be an atheist. So we should, because Bernie
atheist. or Jew or some crazy shit like that. Like they were talking reckless.
Yeah, I'm just like wow, like why would they even email this anyway? Like in this day and age, where it says a lot about incompetence, to be honest. So
like, listen, me and you at the level we are, we could email pretty much whatever we want because nobody's looking out to get us. But these people got to know. People are looking for you.
That's just the way it is. But if I had like a deep secret, something I really didn't want anybody to know, right? I wouldn't email it to somebody.
No,
like
never.
It just wouldn't happen. I wouldn't even text it.
No, that has to be face to face, where you have plausible deniability.
Like, hey, D-Style murdered this person. Don't tell anybody though. Like, I'm not going to email that to somebody. Like hell no. That's always shit they can track. So it is unbelievable. And I think one of the reasons though that Hillary Clinton felt, and her people felt very comfortable doing these emails was because the big media like CNN and don't get it twisted, it's all a big show. Fox News is in bed with them too, right? Um, Also, it's MSNBC, all them. They were never going to do a hard investigation and look into her emails ever. You know what I mean? This was all like from WikiLeaks and anonymous, from hackers that their whole business is hacking into people's shit. So they don't give a shit who they're hacking. So I think
No,
that's what it was.
and D-Style, you just said the perfect thing, because that's the main problem, because the mainstream media, which is where most people get their media from, will never cover it. And most people are brain dead Americans. I'm sorry to say about Americans, where a lot of us are brain dead. We won't take an hour or two to read it or even listen to a video of somebody who has read it and get the facts and then search it ourselves. And that's a fact.
What's funny is that if the Republicans picked anyone else other than Trump and even Cruz, Cruz is a pretty bad candidate too, but any one of those other guys, maybe not Christie. Christie has a lot of baggage too, with the whole Britskate shit. And I'm pretty sure that like if Christie ran for president, I'm pretty sure they would have uncovered some shit he said behind closed doors too. But when you look at guys like Rubio, I don't even like any of these guys, but just keeping it real, like Rubio, Kasich, a majority of them, Rand Paul, they would be crushing Hillary right now. It wouldn't even be close, to be honest.
Yeah, Rubio. I was a Rubio supporter. I voted for Rubio in the primary, but the problem with Rubio is he got when Chris Christie caught him in that one debate where he basically called him being a robot, and he repeated himself like 3 times in a row. He was done.
That was like Republican on Republican crime or some shit, like live on the air. That
it was bad, and then he said this shit.
It's cutting off there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you perfectly.
All right, you cut off for a moment there. What were you saying?
I'm gonna bring up the fact that like what really killed Rubio when he tried to be Donald Trump. His hands. He's like, you see this big guy, he's got small hands. You know what that means? Like, why would you try to do what Trump does? Trump can't get away with that. You can't. And it killed him.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is every week Trump has a moment where if he was a normal politician, he'd be done. Every week, it never fails. But his followers, though, his base, they're like extremely loyal. Like his base. I think I just saw like an article. I didn't read it. I'll be honest, because it's hard to believe, but nowadays. But the title of the article read like a Trump supporter saying Trump like could admit to rape, and I would still support him.
I agree with that. I agree. There's a small section of people in this country that would. But Trump also said, if you remember back in the primaries, he said something like, "I feel like I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away with it." like that's how loyal his supporters are.
Something that I think works to his advantage is whenever they ask him a question, right? He does one or two things. Either he attacks Hillary, or he'll just say a bunch of words that make no fucking sense. So you can't accuse him of being wrong or right. It's just so vague, or it's a big word salad.
Bro, I think he said in the debate. Oh, go ahead. Yeah? You give your example first. I'll give you mine next.
Well, it's not really an example of him, but it's something he said. Like he said, "I'm going to bring people economics." Now, what does that even mean?
I don't know what that means. But I can give you an example of what he did where he just completely avoided it. In the second debate, when they asked him about the videotape, he said,
"Yeah,
it was 11 years ago. I regret it." And then he automatically started talking about ISIS for like, he's like, he just switched to ISIS. I was like, oh shit. Then he came back to the video, then went back to ISIS. I was like, yo, that's some slippery shit he just did.
Well, because I guess he's trying to put in the minds of people that Hey, look, me grabbing pussy's nothing. And look at ISIS; they're worse. That's basically because this country's scared shitless of ISIS. You know, so it's. I mean, we're ready to like increase military spending just to fight ISIS. Like this shit's insane, right? Um, so I don't know. He also said that our nuclear program is exhausted, right? Um, I mean, I guess I don't get what when people think like when they say, well, we need to make our nuclear program better. Like we already have a nuclear program that's way too powerful. It could destroy the fucking planet. Like how much more powerful does it need to be?
I don't think our nuclear program needs to be better because the nuclear program is basically this: whoever hits
Yeah.
first is gonna win. Simple as that. Because if I nuke fucking say per se Russia, they're not going to be able to nuke me back because their whole country is going to be destroyed. What are you going to do? So it's whoever shoots first.
Well, what happens is, well, I guess the problem is it's going to take a while for the missile to arrive. Number one, from Russia to the U.S. So they may strike first, but we're going to strike them too, and the whole planet's going to be destroyed. So just the way it works.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think nuclear warfare should be abolished completely. I agree with that. I don't think nobody should be allowed to have that shit.
I mean, just think about it. I mean, this is, I know it's a line people use a lot and say, oh, come on, really? But it's really not a joke. If I don't trust Donald Trump with the nuclear codes, I just don't.
I don't trust either one of them, to be quite honest, but this is the problem I have with it. Because where I live in New York, bro. If they're gonna nuke someplace, it's gonna be New York or California. It'll be coming from Korea through the West Coast. It'll be coming over to New York. So I'm gonna be dead. Everybody else in the Midwest may live, but I'm fucked. So I don't want none of them to have that shit.
What's interesting? How do you get rid of the nuclear program, though? I mean, because first of all, we're gonna have to become allies, like really good allies, for a very long time with Russia, right, and China. They got nukes too. It's just one country has to trust the other. They all have to trust each other to get rid of the nuclear program. It's almost impossible to happen.
That's why I think if Trump gets elected, we'd have better relations with Russia than if Hillary, because Hillary's just going to be just like Obama, and Obama, which I think is literally one of the 10 worst presidents ever. Obama is. I really do. And I voted for that fucking guy out of pride and all that dumb shit the first time. The second time I did not vote for him because I think he's a piece of garbage. But secondly, he created more problems with Russia. We didn't have problems with Russia when he came in, and now we have increasing problems. And Hillary's just going to continue that. And we don't need to have a problem with Russia because Russia is getting stronger and stronger, and people are ignoring that. And that's not something to ignore. Russia basically is controlling Assad, who controls Syria, and he's just gaining power. It's not good. Putin and Russia are just gaining power. That's not good.
Well, I don't think our relation with Russia was ever good. I think what happened was in fact, I don't even think the Cold War ever really ended. I just think Russia began to regroup. But, as far as, Russia or I guess it's interesting. I think we found a disagreement because you think Obama is top 10, like worst all-time president.
Yeah, I think he's a horrible president. I think he's a horrible person.
All right. So let's put it this way, right? So do you think he's a better president than George Bush was? That's not a high standard or anything, but
George Bush.
George
Bush was a piece of shit too. I can't front on that. But I think they're about equal. I think they're about equal, but they're both bad in different ways, is what I would say.
Although George Bush, was actually Dick Cheney that actually ran shit, but nonetheless.
Exactly, but we'll blame it on George Bush.
I mean, he was a hit, so it is what it is. I don't know. I think. Look, here's the thing.
But let me make a point about Obama, right? Before you go, please. Obama claimed that he loves Muslims and all this stuff, but he sends drones to Muslim countries nonstop. Guantanamo is still open. He claims he's for amnesty for illegal immigrants, but he's deported more people than any other president ever has. Like, he's a contradiction. He's a giant contradiction. He's a fraud. If you look into what he does, he's a fraud. The GDP is went over to what, a 20 trillion plus 20 trillion if I got it right. He's only got 1% growth in our economics. He's a bad president. He's not good, and I'm not going to defend that guy anymore. I tried my hardest. Don't get me wrong. You know I tried my hardest, but I can't do it no more.
Well, look, don't get me wrong. I'm not arguing that Obama was a great president, right? And nor am I a big fan of his. But there's a but here. Here's the thing: we can't ignore what he inherited, though. You know what I mean? I mean, the economy basically it crashed. I mean, it was all done basically. All right, they had to bail him out. As far as like, the motor industry and all that. And overall, I disagreed with the bailout, and all that, which was done under Bush, right before he left. But it's when you take into account what he inherited, including, I mean, when Obama went into office, he inherited, the military-industrial complex. That was already set in place. Could he have could he have done some progress to, get rid of that? Of course. And he didn't. I think he did it out of fear of Republicans not liking him. I think that the biggest problem Obama had in his presidency, and I think it ruined his presidency, was he was way too worried about what Republicans and all these white voters that just didn't like the guy because of his color of his skin. He just tried way too hard to appease them, while trying to appease the people that voted for him at the same time. And you can't do both. You just can't. And I think that's the main problem that I have with Obama. I agree about the drone strikes. I agree about our involvement in the Middle East. I completely disagree with the funding of Israel. We're going to give these guys $38 billion in the next 10 years. Saudi Arabia, we flocked like almost $30 billion to them since last year. That's just way too much money, right, to be flocking out, and because we want to be involved in the Middle East, but here's the thing. I mean, I get what you mean, but take any president in the 1800s, 1700s. If they had the technology we have today, the military we have today, with the nuclear arms we have today, I mean, you don't think some of these presidents would have done more atrocities than President Obama with this type of technology?
Oh, I 100% think they would.
I mean, some of these presidents would have invaded all of South America and Mexico, made them all slaves by now. It's just with this type of power,
Bro, the whole South America all the way to probably Brazil. Only reason Brazil wouldn't be a slavery country because I think the freaking Portugal was controlling it. But everything above that would be slavery if they had the weapons back then.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like that's what I think. You know what I mean. Obama's biggest problem was he tried way too hard to appease Republicans for 8 years. He tried way too hard. Like, he never had the balls to just do something. He did it for some issues, right? But not on many, not on enough.
But that's my thing, D-Style. I don't mean to cut you off. The issues he chose to just push ahead were issues that most Americans don't agree with, or at least me, I don't. Like, he pushed ahead like homosexual stuff. And the people who got you in the White House weren't homosexuals. It was freaking black people and Hispanics. And you didn't do anything you did something for Hispanics, but you did absolutely nothing for black people. So I have no respect for him.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. So let's talk about Hispanics really quick. So let me give you an example of him trying to appease Republicans while trying to appease people that voted for him, right? And I want to get to the black people in a minute, but really quick with Hispanics. So, see, Obama, when Trump comes out and says, we're going to deport them all, we're going to or whatever, right? When when Trump comes out and says it, he's very vulgar about it. Obama wanted to do it on the down low, you know, not as many, not all of them, but he did do a lot of deportations, you know.
Yeah, a lot more than any other president. In fact,
Yeah, which I always find it funny when Republicans are like, "Oh my!" Like whenever Trump accuses Obama of being an open border president, he's wrong. That's not true, right? And plus, the borders are not open. Has anybody ever seen? I could walk 10 minutes and I'm at the border. It's not an open border. They have like 3 electrical fences, a border patrol agent every every like 4 blocks. It's not an open border. I don't know where people get this idea that it's open.
well, I
It's
can
not.
say this. I don't know. I've never been to any border, whether California or Texas. So I don't, or Arizona. I don't know
Right.
what the border looks like. I just see what they show me on TV. Never been over there.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's and most of it is desert, and a lot of people die just trying to cross. But I guess that the problem I had with Obama was here you are, you promise amnesty, and that's why they voted for you. If you were not going to give amnesty, that's fine, but at least say it. Like at least be honest about it. At least say no. There's not going to be any amnesty.
Bro, they're never going to give
But
amnesty.
he needed the Latino vote.
You know why they're not going to give amnesty? This is why I don't like Democrats and I don't like most Republicans. The Republicans say shit to their base like we're going to deport them all, but they're never going to do that.
Right.
And then
Right.
Democrats say we're going to give you amnesty, but they're never going to do that. What they both want, what they both want is cheap labor because they can exploit people and they can make modern day slavery, which I don't agree with.
I agree.
I don't agree with modern day slavery.
Problem could be easily fixed. They just made work visas. It could be easily fixed, but they do have work visas, but it takes like such a long time to get it. You know what I mean? Like, so if your family's dying of hunger and you want to work, you don't have time to wait for a fucking visa.
Where I live in what you call a sanctuary state, right? I live in New York, which is apparently a sanctuary state. I didn't realize this either, that New York has the second most undocumented or illegal immigrant, whatever you want to call them.
It's not hard to believe.
It does, and was behind California, and
yeah.
The reason why they don't want to give work visas is because if they give work visas, they have to pay you an honest wage. It's very simple to understand.
Right.
And they're never going to pay these people honest wage. This is why I see, and everybody has a misconception, right? That everybody that comes to this country that doesn't have papers are Mexicans, but that's not true. I think lately the most have been from like El Salvador and Guatemala and blah blah blah. But
well, I mean, to a lot of these races though, like they're all Mexicans in their eyes. So
I know, like, bro, the other day I went to the store, right, and I was fucking around with a dude that I've known for years now because he's worked at my neighborhood deli since I moved around, and he's Hispanic. And I was fucking around with him. We got into the conversation because I was looking at the paper and he was talking about Trump. And I was like, man, and the white dude was like, oh, the one white dude was like, oh, what do you think about Trump? And I just looked at him like, and I was like, man, I'm not even gonna just assume this dude is Mexican. Why are you just assuming he's Mexican? That was the first thought process. First, he assumed he was Mexican, and secondly, he assumed he was illegal.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, yo, that's pretty fucked up, man.
Yeah. So I mean, like, here's the thing, and I think this is why the President Obama's presidency, I wouldn't personally say he's a top 10 worst of all time, but overall, are there some atrocities that Obama did? Yes, but if we're honest, though, you could go back to every president and they have atrocities, because they're basically the leader of the most powerful. Whether we like it or not, the United States is an empire. You know what I mean? And to be a force and an empire in the world, to keep that power, you're going to commit atrocities, whether directly or indirectly. It's going to happen. And I could go back, Bush, Clinton, Bush Sr., Reagan, Carter. I could go all the way to Kennedy and Nixon. All of them were involved in some form of atrocity in one way or another.
Yeah, like through Vietnam and the Gulf War and all, it all
Yeah.
spreads back through there. Cold War, it all spreads back through.
But here's where Obama failed. Obama came in. He basically he gave me, I don't know about you, he gave me the impression that he was anti-war, right? He came on here. He's like, "Oh, I'm against the Iraq War. I'm going to just as soon as I'm elected, I'm going to bring the troops home." And
That's
you
exactly
know,
what he said. I'm bringing the troops home.
yeah, but why didn't he do it? Because he was scared that Republicans were going to call him weak. Like he was just he cared way too much what Republicans were going to say about him, right? Like he just cared way too much. He didn't take out the troops on time. Why? Because he actually tried to keep the troops there, by the way, but Iraq like kicked them out, right? So like the contract or whatever like expired. So he wanted to keep the troops there because he was too scared of for whatever reason he wants Republicans to like him, you know. Uh, he's just too scared of being called weak, and they do this stuff anyway. Like they call him weak anyway.
Yeah, do you remember that famous picture? Sorry to interrupt you. You remember that famous picture when he got off the plane and that white senator lady was just like pointing her finger at his face, like, "You're not this, you're not that." Like they don't like you regardless. So do what you want to do. That's what I don't understand.
Like if he was going to pull out the troops, that was like a very popular stance. Just pull them out. Like that's what you said you were going to do. I don't understand. Every single time, I mean, just talk about trying to appease to these guys. Anytime he wanted to pass a bill, almost every time, he would meet Republicans in the middle, and you don't do that, and they were still obstructionists. This Congress and Senate under Obama has done less than any other Congress and Senate in history, right? They refuse to do anything. They refuse to.
The only thing he got through, like really, the only thing I can think that he got through that pops into my mind is the gay marriage and the gay rights bill.
But he didn't even do that, though.
No, he sent it to the Supreme Court, and they did it.
Yeah, the Supreme Court, passed it.
Yeah, which was, in
I guess
my
you can
opinion,
argue,
and
indirectly he did it.
Yeah, indirectly because he allowed it to happen. But I think that's bullshit.
Well, and
I don't agree with
the judges.
What are your point?
He appointed like two or three that voted on it.
Yeah, the one from New York, the Puerto Rican lady, and and I can't remember her name. Excuse me, but I know she's from New York, and maybe one or more. Yeah. But I don't even agree. I don't agree with that. Like that right there, I don't agree with. And then I'm not going to change my standards for that. I think that's wrong. But a lot of people in this country agree it's right, I guess.
Well, I mean, but that at the very least, if he had come out and just said, "Okay, this is what I want to do," right? Agree or disagree with it, but he did everything else he said he was going to do, which he didn't, right? Now, look, I will say this. Part of it is the Republicans' fault. And I'm not trying to play partisan or anything here, but he had to serve under a Republican Congress for almost his entire presidency. So almost anything he wanted to do, they were being obstructionists, period, right? Yeah, but my thing is, he didn't do enough of, look, this is what I want to do. All he has to do is, he's a president. He says, "Hey, I'm doing a press conference. Every fucking news station is going to tune in, even Fox News." You know what I mean? He says, "Look, this is what I want to pass." Everybody, hey, call your congressman, or whatever, right? He for whatever reason, he tried way too hard for Republicans to like him.
But what kills me about minorities, right? Because I want to go to minorities real quick.
Yeah.
Minorities are uninformed, in my opinion, because a lot of minorities don't realize is that the party that freed the slaves and freed and gave the Indians something because they got raped. I'm not even going to talk about it. They got raped and gave them a little bit of something. Were the Republicans? Okay, it was not the Democrats. The Democratic Party is the most racist party in history. They're the ones that want to keep slavery going. They're the ones that denied civil rights bills. All that shit. Nobody seems to know that.
Just to kind of clarify, the KKK was, in fact, that was their party. especially in the South, was the
Thank you.
Democrats, but that
Thank you.
did change after the Southern strategy, though.
Yeah, it changed. You know, but you know why it changed? It changed because the Democrats started switching slightly, and the Republicans were like, "Oh, we're gonna lose all our shit, so now we gotta switch it," which was stupid on their part. Of the Republicans, they should have stuck with their line because they'd have stuck with their line, they would be ruling everything right now. Because the dynamics of this country has changed. I think what they say, maybe you know better than me, in like what is
Yeah,
it,
it is.
2050, which both of us will be alive for. Maybe we'll
Yep.
be alive, God willing. The country's going to be like 55% brown, brown or black,
Well,
and
Pat Buchanan, though. Well, I'm trying to cut you off, but the thing is, they needed the Southern strategy um, because they were going to start losing a lot of elections. And politicians don't think 50 years down the line. They think my career, the next 4 years, 8 years, that's what they think about, right? So the Southern strategy, it was wrong. Don't get me wrong. It definitely was wrong. And as a Nixon advisor even came out and admitted that, along with the war on drugs and stuff, like he came out and admitted that it was definitely racially motivated. But it just the way it kind of played out. I'm trying to think of the guy who said it. Pat Buchanan. You know who that is?
Pat Buchanan.
Pat Buchanan. Yes.
Yeah, did that old
Right.
bastard die yet? Let me ask you that question. He's an asshole. He's an
He's
asshole.
still alive, I think. The evil ones live longer for whatever reason. Maybe so they could live through the shit that longer.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. And he came out and he said, "Hey, look, we had a great 40-year run." He admitted it. It's just came out, admitted it. We had a great 40-year-old run. And if you look at it, most senators, if you do the count, most elections overall have been won by Republicans in the last 40 years. But that's definitely changing.
Yeah, it's changing because the demographics are changing, but I also don't like the fact that the this is why I hate, and I use the word hate, and I don't use that word hate for many people. I hate
Yep.
Hillary Clinton because I think she's a fucking liar. And no, I don't think. I know she's a liar, but
Sure.
she
Of
panders.
course she
She
is.
panders to minorities, like panders.
She does, yes.
And the only reason she does it is to like make you think, oh, I'm gonna do something for you. But guess what? When I get control, I ain't gonna do a motherfucking thing for you. But people don't want to realize that.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, look, here's the thing, right? So usually, this is kind of the way it works. Everything Republicans accuse Democrats of being weak on, right? They're weak on crime. They're weak on immigration. They're weak on everything they accuse them of, right? It's usually the things that Democrats actually do very well, you know. Um, and that's whether it's, I mean, sure. Like, let me give you an example. Donald Trump says Hillary's weak. She's for open borders. I'm for a wall, right? He's going to build a big, beautiful wall, whatever. Hillary doesn't say she's for a wall, but she says she's for a barrier. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that the same fucking thing?
Same thing, different worded differently.
It just sounds better, right? It doesn't sound as bad. So it's kind of like it's kind of slick. It plays on both sides. You don't piss off one side, right? And you couldn't appease the other side. But where Trump is a little different, he likes to really, because Trump, I mean, he does his own pandering too. I mean, he's pandering to that white male base. He really is.
Yeah, he is. He says certain things that are gonna appeal to the white male. That's a fact.
And which brings
It's
me
just
back to
that the
Obama.
problem, but the
That point.
but one point before you go, and I'll let you go. But it's difference between him and her is she's been doing it for 30 years. He's been doing it for fucking 18 months. It's a big difference.
Yeah. I mean, she's definitely a career politician. There's no, and this is not just her husband too. I mean, her husband passed that, racist crime bill and shit in the 90s.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and apparently,
you know,
allegedly, he's been raping women for about 30 years. But who knows?
I mean, I don't know. you know, um, they're saying the same thing about Trump now too. So it's kind of crazy how shit works. I wouldn't be shocked if it's true about either one of them. But
Did you see?
when I go
Let
back
me
to
ask
the
you a
Obama
question.
thing, though,
Before you go back to Obama thing, did you see the old pictures of him and Trump smiling in a damn room together? They probably were raping women together, man.
I mean, look, remember when Trump was defending him like a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Called the accuser a loser, and I think she's a loser, and
Oh yeah, Paula Jones. Paula Jones.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
know. I know. It's just so colluded. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it's not a shock to me that very powerful, rich white men are taking advantage of women. Like that's not a shocker, right? But that doesn't, it might be surprising, but it's not a shocker. Anyone who's powerful, for that matter. But
Well, to be honest with you, D-Star, I think
yeah,
all men on the planet take advantage of women in some way or not. It's just that the rich ones just blatant are just ridiculous with it. Like we
yeah,
may manipulate, like on our level, we may manipulate women's minds by telling them, "Hey, I love you," when we really don't. Just to
yeah.
just to do what we need to do. But those dudes, they're rich, so they can just make shit go away. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Well, just like Trump says, without their permission, I just walk up to them and I just grab their pussy. Like, all right.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When I first heard that video, I laughed my ass off. I thought it was hilarious. I didn't agree with it, but I thought it was funny.
I mean, it's yeah. Have you heard some of these Trump supporters and what they think about Obama, though? Like what they think he is,
What,
and
that he's a Muslim?
some say he's. I think I don't really think they believe he's a Muslim. I think that's code word for what they really want to say.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course it is.
He'll say things like that, or he's a foreigner, or I don't know. I
He's
just
not
don't really think he's
American.
from here.
He wasn't born in
He's not
America.
really American. So for his whole presidency, I have no idea why he just tried so hard to make those people like him. You know,
This is why it took me
I,
like this is why it took me like 7 years and fucking 11 months to criticize the fucking guy because because of the pure fact that I knew the most of the hatred of him was just blatantly bullshit.
yeah. I mean, look, most of the things Republicans criticize Obama about are really not true, right? Like he's weak in the Middle East. I don't know what they mean by that, but he's definitely bombing a lot of innocent people in the Middle East.
Bro, a lot of I don't got the numbers on me, and I had them a while ago, but I was
Yeah.
looking at some statistic where it was like, I don't want to misquote this, but I think it was 11 million people in the last 4 years have been killed in the Middle East. 11 million people. I'm not saying combatants, and only like 7,000 Americans died from
Yeah.
fucking like 2001 till now. Look at that. Look at that discrepancy.
Yes. I mean, this country has bloods in its hand. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's really no way around it, really. But the media doesn't report that, though.
No,
So,
and you know what?
you never hear about the drone
They,
strikes.
they talk on and on and on for the last 60 years, well, more than 60 years, 70 years about the Holocaust. But these motherfuckers are killing more Muslims in the Middle East than the Holocaust did ever. And they keep bringing up Hitler. But guess what? You
Yeah.
motherfuckers are killing more people than Hitler ever dreamed of.
My thing is, I mean, I'll never forget. I was reading an article. I don't remember if it was an article or a YouTube video, to be honest. It was a couple of years ago, but it was of a kid in the Middle East, right? Who had literally in front of his eyes saw like his grandmother just be incinerated. That's how powerful these bombs are now. It's incinerator. Like they can't even have a funeral for her with her body there. It's her body was incinerated. And then this kid talked about he prays every day for a storm, like for it to rain and just pour heavy, because when it's clear skies outside, he knows the drones are out. You know, like that's like I couldn't picture living life that way. You know what I mean?
No,
And
that's
yet,
why we were blessed to be born where we were born, because we don't really have to worry about that type of shit. Like we say shit like never forget 9/11, and I wouldn't forget 9/11 because I love those buildings. Okay, those buildings are
yeah,
right where I work now. Those buildings were right where I work now. But the thing is this: only 4,000 people died. You're killing millions of these people. So what are they supposed to never forget?
yeah. I mean, but isn't it? It's funny because no candidate right now, Trump or Hillary, is going to stop it from happening. And by the way Donald Trump
No,
talks,
that's
it
why I'm
sounds like he's
voting
going to
third
support.
party.
Well, I'm voting Gary Johnson. Who are you voting?
I, I'm voting third party.
You don't know who yet, or
No, I know who I'm voting for. Jill Stein.
Jill Stein? Okay, you know that's a far better choice than the two on the top of the ticket.
I
What do you
have no choice. I can't vote for either one of them. I hate
like?
Hillary
What
Clinton.
do you make of like? Right, like remember the primary debates when they just made every debate. I mean, they became the best recruitment tool for ISIS ever, right? I mean, they made every debate about ISIS, every single debate, right? I mean, no matter what they asked them, like they could have asked Ted Cruz anything, he would bring up like just and then the way they say it, the emphasis they put in it, like Islamic terrorism, right? ISIS, and then Ted Cruz saying things like, "I don't know if sand can glow at night, but we're gonna find out after all the bombing we're gonna do to ISIS," right? Just stuff like that. Um, what do you make of that? Because it just seems to me like the solution to the problem is easy, and the solution is let's just get the fuck out of the Middle East. We have no fucking business there. It's none of our business what they do over there, right? And mind our own business over here and take care of business here, right? To me, that would stop a lot of terrorist attacks and this, that, and the third.
I
But
think
but
that I 100% agree with you, because if you leave them alone, they'll leave you the fuck alone. The reason why they're doing what they're doing, and I think not 100% because I don't believe in killing innocent people, but I think it says in every holy book, if you believe in it, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So you do something to me, I got to do something to you. But if you leave them the fuck alone, they'll leave you the fuck alone because they have no reason to attack you. Don't concern yourself with what they're doing in Iraq and Syria and Libya and all these countries. It's none of our fucking business. But we poke our nose in, we kill a couple million people, and then they get up in arms when a couple thousand die here. Okay, I don't want those couple thousand to die, but I damn sure don't want those couple million to die. So leave them the fuck alone. They'll leave you alone. It's very simple to me.
well, to me, look, military contractors, they donate money to both Republicans and Democrats, right? Which is astonishing. Like, I can't believe people that we pay with our taxpayer money can get some of that money and pay politicians with it. It's unbelievable. But um, but they fund some of these politicians, and I've always felt that the fear mongering that they do, because look, ISIS is never going to take over the United States. You know what I mean? We may see some sporadic attacks here and there, and some people might die, but like it's not going to destroy the United States. They don't. They're not a superpower like Russia. That they can't invade us. None of that's going to happen. But for whatever reason, it's just so easy. I mean, the fucking national anthem says the home of the brave. Like, motherfucker, you say ISIS, like people jump out of their seats and shit. You know, It's like an easy fear mongering tactic that they do, and I think a lot of that has to do with justifying the wars in the Middle East. It's gives people that perception of, and to them it's like their reality. Well, look, in the Middle East, that's where ISIS lives, so we have to attack ISIS. So we need to fund the military more. We can't cut military spending. We got to increase military spending. We got to create more bombs. More death planes and this, that, and the third. I think that's what ISIS is. I think it's to fund the military. That at the end of the day, that's what it is.
It's just a reason for them to build more weapons and to pump more money into building more weapons and all a bunch of bullshit. It's not factual, bro, because wars don't start for no reason. That's like me or you, right? Me and you,
Yeah.
I'm walking down the street, you're walking down the street. I walk past you. 10 days in a row, 10 weeks in a row. But one day I decide to throw a shoulder to your chest and call you a faggot. Okay, next time you see me, you're going to be like, yo, fuck this dude. This dude called me a faggot. He fucking assaulted me. So that's how this shit happens. It slowly but surely turns into some anger. And then something happens.
Well, I mean, it can be a coincidence. Like, did you hear about? I don't know if you heard about this, but did you hear about the Pentagon being caught red-handed, paying a firm in England to make fake Al Qaeda videos?
I've heard about fake Al Qaeda videos. I didn't hear about that specific story, but I know that a lot of those Al Qaeda videos, a lot of those Osama bin Laden videos were completely fraudulent, completely like 10 years old. And they're just claiming that they were brand new every time they pumped them out. But no, them shits were old as shit.
Yeah, this is astonishing. Not to mention that a lot of these terrorist cells they were basically, at the very least, indirectly funded by the United States. I'll see like a video of like some ISIS guys in a truck, and they'll have like have seen the ones where they have like a logo of like a roofing company from the United States or some shit like that?
Well,
or like
if you remember when the Middle Eastern people that Osama bin Laden was fighting with were fighting, I believe, the Russians in like the 90s. They were given weapons by who? The United fucking States.
Yeah.
So these are.
I mean, usually it starts by helping rebels. That's what the media calls them at first.
Yeah.
They're rebels. And then they become terrorists.
Sure, exactly. Just like the Iran-Contra fucking scandal with Ronald Reagan. Oh, yeah, they're rebels. We're giving them all these weapons. And now they're pumping 10 billion pounds of cocaine into every city in our country. It's all a fucking scheme.
Now, speaking of like Iran, now, in my opinion, I think if there's one of all some of the good things I think Obama did well, although we don't know the long-term plan, I fear that eventually they're going to invade Iran, right? But at the very least, I kind of like the Iran deal. It's to stop their nuclear program, and we let them back in the market so they get some of the money. They get about 250 billion of their money. By the way, it's not our money. It's money it's assets that we froze of theirs, because that's what the U.S. does. It freezes like countries' assets and shit. So now they're letting Iran like be part of like the world stage with like trade and stuff like that, and in return they have to stop their nuclear program. What's your opinion about that?
Iran?
The nuclear deal.
Yeah, okay, the nuclear deal where they gave them billions of dollars to stop them from supposedly producing nuclear weapons. I
just want to clarify. We're not giving them money. We unfroze their assets. It's their money. But yeah.
Iran, well, I'm speaking from a Muslim perspective. Iran is a Shia country, which tells me they believe that Ali is the first, after Muhammad is the first rightful Khalifa, which tells me that Iranians are insane, which tells me that it's not going to work out well. You fuck with an Iranian, you fuck with a Shia, it could, and it, like you said, if they invade them, somebody's getting fucked up. And that's what I can tell you about Iran. That's just my opinion, but that's from a Muslim perspective. That's not from an American perspective.
Well, I guess my thing is intervention, right? So Republicans think continue freezing their assets, I'm sorry, and then be hostile with them, where we have no access to inspect them, and they were on the verge of creating a fucking nuclear weapon issue. You know, we don't need more countries with nuclear weapons at this point. We just don't. So more countries with nuclear weapons, regardless how you feel about any particular country, the odds of something accidental happening, for that matter, or deliberate, it's just increased. So we don't need more countries with. We need to start reducing the amount of countries with nuclear weapons. But the thing is, I just feel at the very least, whether it's, I still don't know if it's just part of the show. Like, I don't know if it's just the Obama administration trying to put on a show like, hey, look, we tried diplomacy, but now we're going to have to invade them, right? I don't know how much of it is just a game, but at the very least, it seems to me like doing something else, diplomacy, over just invading the fucking country and killing even more Muslims and angering more Muslims around the world, right? I just feel like it was a better option.
It may have been a better option. I don't know. I don't know the details of all the deals, and I never believe what they tell me because I know Iran. I know one thing I know about Iran. You're not gonna invade. You're not gonna invade Iran like you invaded Iraq. It's not gonna happen because if you invade Iran, some fucked up shit is going to happen to you unless Saudi Arabia intervenes, which could possibly happen because Hillary Clinton's in bed with the Saudi Arabians. But that's a Shia-controlled country. It's not the same as invading Iraq. It's just not. They will fucking strike back, and they will strike back viciously. If they don't have nuclear weapons, then if you're correct that they stopped them from making nuclear weapons, they got them all away, then it won't make a difference because they won't be able to hold up to U.S. might. But if they do have nuclear weapons, some fucked up shit will happen.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Iran, though, I will say this, because everybody was talking about, oh, look at Iran. They see so many horrible things about the U.S., right? Look, they kind of have a point. We did kind of give, like, one of the reasons we knew Osama bin Laden had weapons of mass destruction is because we gave it to him, right? And we like funded Iraq in their war with Iran. Like, I believe, what was that, in the 80s or the 70s? We funded that war, right? And we gave Iraq some fucked up biological weapons, and like that was our doing. And that was under, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Reagan administration. And so whenever I hear people say, "Oh, look, Iran," and what do they have against the U.S.? I mean, it's not that hard to figure out.
No, it's not hard at all because that's when the Ayatollah Khomeini was in charge of Iran at the time, and they decided that Saddam Hussein's Ba'ath Party was the better way to go. But then 20, 30 years later, they end up fucking hanging this guy from a fucking rope or however they killed him. Like, it's a bunch of bullshit. They play both sides of the fence. This is the one thing about America I fucking loathe. I loathe the way they do diplomacy when it comes to other countries.
Yeah. Well, I guess the thing is that they'll help a dictator out, right? But the moment that dictator, in their minds, acts up, right? That dictator's going to be toppled.
It's over. Look what they did with Manuel Noriega. When he was helping him, it was all good, and then he's gone. Like, that's what happens to all these guys.
I mean, look at with Castro, right? Cuba. I agree with getting rid of the embargo. What's your opinion on the embargo with Cuba?
I agree that shit should have been gone fucking 30 fucking years ago. But they were just punishing Cuba for some bullshit.
Right.
Like because this man didn't want to fucking kiss your fucking boots. That's why you decided to fucking basically destroy his country.
Yeah.
But he was
Well,
too
here's what
strong.
happened. I mean,
He
the
still kept.
United
Go
States.
ahead.
Well, because the United States handpicked the dictator. Well, because this dictator overthrew that dictator, they had a problem with him. That's basically what
Exactly
happened.
because Castro cared about his people, but Castro gets put out there like he was a bad guy, but he really wasn't. He was a guy put in the situation because when he came into power, he said, "Fuck you, America. I'm going to do this shit my
Yeah.
way." But people don't hear that side of the story. They don't want to hear that side of the story. They just want to hear Castro's a communist or whatever fucking bullshit America puts out there.
By the way, the doctors in Cuba are so far ahead of our doctors, it's not even funny.
Bro, the
Um,
mechanics in Cuba are the best in the world. They've been fucking driving around with cars from the 1940s for
yeah.
like 70 fucking years. And those shits run
They,
beautifully.
yeah, it's true. Because they couldn't even get like new vehicles there and shit.
They
Um,
couldn't get shit.
they couldn't get anything. And if anything, we were to try and so-called punish Castro. We were just punishing the people, And just another example. But I think that's one good thing. I think that Obama did good, right? I mean, they get rid of the dem. It didn't take a genius to do it, but that's one thing he did. It pissed off Republicans, but whatever.
It did, but he only partially did it. And I guarantee you the next president that comes in, whether it be crooked Hillary or fucking psycho Trump, they're gonna fucking put that shit right back into place.
They probably will, but I mean, well, when you say they partially did it, what do you mean? Unless I'm missing something.
Because as far as I know, I don't know the full details of what they did. Like it's still not free for Americans to go to Cuba. There's only like four airlines that are allowed to fly to Cuba from America. So that just tells me that something is not fully finished. But I haven't studied it well enough to know if he completely lifted the embargo. And from what I read, he hasn't. He just partially did it.
Partially did it. Okay. Well, you know, one thing I'll have to check up on that because I'm not sure either. But hopefully they get rid of it, man. That shit's just ridiculous. But as far as the I want to kind of talk about Obama a little bit because I know he was definitely a disappointing president. I don't know for how long you'll think he's top 10 worst all time, but because I disagree with that, I just do. But what do you think, however, like an accusation that gets thrown out about Obama that I hear this a lot, especially with Republicans, was Obama divided the country. Now, what's your opinion about that?
Well, if he divided the country, it must have been divided upon racial lines. So that may
Yeah.
be an accurate statement because most of this country is white. But if that's the case, then okay, he divided the country. But as far as him dividing the country for some type of policy, I can't really stand with that because a lot of his policies I hate, but I don't dislike him because of his color. I dislike him because of his policy. But a lot of people
Yeah.
just blatantly dislike him because of his color. It's very simple.
And a lot of those people would have loved his policies if it wasn't for that color. But
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, but here's the thing. I've always found that because I know, because I did say we're going to get back to like black people in a moment, right? So this is where I want to start it because you always hear Republicans say that they always accuse him, and I want your response to this, right? They always accuse him of, oh, Obama, he's always about his own. And he looks out for just his own. He doesn't care about white people. He only cares about blacks, and because this is an accusation that gets thrown at him a lot, right? So him trying to appease to them, they say that about him anyway. You know what I mean? So an example I'll give you is when Trayvon Martin was shot, Obama had like in the Rose Garden little press conference, and all he said was Trayvon Martin could have been my son, and the right went wild, like, oh no, he divided the country, saying that he's causing division, this, that, and the third, right? So, what's your response to that? The accusation from a lot of Republicans that Obama just cares about his own. He doesn't care about white people. He doesn't care about anybody else. Like, what's your response to that?
I think that's one of the most inaccurate statements ever in the world because Obama cares the least about black people because he's done nothing for us. If you really look at his policies, he's done absolutely nothing for us. But at the same time, I think the accusation they made is a bunch of complete bullshit. They just got mad at the statement that Trayvon could have been my son. And they try to
Which
spin
is
it
kind of
to some
crazy,
bullshit.
right?
It's insanity if you really think about it, because I think he's done the least.
He was
for
just
black
trying
people.
to empathize with the situation. That's all he was doing. He was trying to put some perspective in it, right? Like he was just trying to, like, I guess what he was trying to do anyway was, the way I feel was, he was just trying to make people explain to people why he was having a press conference. You know, like why it hit home or something like that. That's why I got it anyway.
Or that's like if you were the president and you seen some Hispanic teenager, you might use that line to say, that kid could have been my son.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even be thinking much about it. You're just trying to let them know, like, hey, like, I could see myself in that situation. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's not a big deal to me at all. That's stupid. It's just something to complain about for people.
Well, because it's not just that. It's just like overall, I think that there's like this, because they othered him from the moment he ran for office. You know what I mean? At first, they called him a socialist. I think all these were code words: socialist, community organizer, Muslim. You know, he gets called an atheist at times. I've seen him called an atheist and Muslim in the same sentence.
Kenyan,
Kenyan, you know, it's just African, right? I've heard him. I've heard a lot of things that are said about him, and it's always this perspective anyway that I just can't believe they feel this way. Of, oh, look at Obama, he has it in for everybody else except his own. Like he's only serving his own in the White House, and you hear that a lot. It's unbelievable.
well, I wish he would have done that. Since they all thought it, I wish he would have done that, but he didn't. So everything they said about that is completely inaccurate. I think he wasn't a good president for his policies, not for any other reason. I think his policies were horrible. I think they're horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, he did pass a lot of shit on the down low, though, which I didn't like. And you know, it is what it is. But like most of the worst shit he's done was on the down low, like especially the drone strikes and stuff like that. Telling people we're not going to go to Iraq again. All of a sudden, we're back in Iraq.
But look at what he's passing now. He's passing laws that men can use women's bathrooms in public and all this fuckery. I don't agree with that, bro. Like, that is some fuckery.
Yeah.
I don't want no grown man. I don't have a child. But if I ever have a daughter,
yeah,
I don't want no grown-ass man in the bathroom with my fucking child. Period. I don't give a fuck if he's the nicest guy in the world. I don't give a fuck. I don't like that. Like, I think that's bullshit. Like, I don't know, man. That type of shit that he's passing really bothers me. That's what puts him in the top 10 worst of all time for me.
You know, like to me, although look, Obama's a president, he's not a dictator, but he does have a lot of executive power, right? So, for example, he appoints like an attorney general and stuff like that, right? And to me, I mean, some of the things I believe he could have done by now, he could have made it federal law that every police officer has to have a body cam. He could have done that years ago.
Yeah, he could have done that easily.
He could have made it federal law that the police cannot be militarized. He's a commander in chief. He could make that law, or he could mandate that to a certain degree anyway, right? In some
Yeah,
states,
like what you just said. You said those two laws, right? The same way you put the homosexual laws to
yeah,
and basically forced the chief justices to do it, he could have done the same thing with those laws. He could have forced it on through. He could have,
yeah.
but he didn't, and he had no intentions of
He
doing it.
also like he'll come out in the Rose Garden and say, like, I don't really like the way these police are militarized, and dude, like you could send the National Guard over there and they'll fucking bend to their fucking knees. You know what I mean? Like, and for anyone who says, oh, he can't do that, yes, he can. Right? Fucking, what's his name did it? Kennedy. You know, when they weren't letting black people go to like schools and shit, he sent a fucking National Guard over there and make sure they let them go to school. All right. Like Obama, he doesn't. I don't know. Like he could have done some things that look, they would have been controversial. Half of the country would have fucking hated him for it, right? But guess what? They already hate him. You know, so
They already hate
like
him.
at least give him a reason to hate you.
They're always gonna hate him. They'll never like him. So why not do what you feel in your heart? That's what I understand.
I mean, the police unions, like they fucking hate Obama, right? Not all of them, but a lot of them, right? Because he came out and said Obama couldn't have been more safe and down the middle on some of these police shootings. He just couldn't, right? I mean, he comes out and you know how he is. He just comes out and, well, you know, I think the shootings are unfortunate. You know, we got to do what we got to do to work together and police and community and this, that, and the third, right? He'll praise police like for 10 straight minutes because he knows what he's about to say is going to piss them off. So he's got to kiss their ass for 10 straight minutes about how police are the best of us and they're great and they're this and they're that. And then finally, all he says at the end is, I just hope police show a little more restraint before, you know, shooting somebody or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Police unions come out and, oh, Obama fucking hates us. You know, he's fucking against police. And
yeah, like that fucking...
You did all that ass kissing for nothing.
Have you seen that fucking guy? What's that guy from Milwaukee? I think it's Sheriff David Clark, who's the worst fucking guy ever in history. I fucking hate him. Because I'd seen a picture of him with his... You know what? I'm going to leave that alone. We'll talk about that behind the scenes. I'll leave that topic alone. But anyway, this like you're right about that. That's a bunch of fucking bullshit. And by the way, I'll give you a little news I saw today. I seen this today on Fox News. Have you heard about the Tulsa, Oklahoma shooting where the guy was blatantly where the lady cop shot him and killed him?
Yep.
All right. So now apparently, even though he wasn't aggressive at all to anybody, apparently he was on PCP.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't, but I just don't even believe he was on fucking PCP. I don't even believe that. He wasn't acting irrational at all.
Let me rephrase what I just said. It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't, but you know what they're going to do with that PCP scandal. They're going to twist it, and she's going to beat the fucking charges. Book it.
Well, has she gotten past the grand jury yet? I don't even know, to be honest.
Yeah, she got charged with first-degree manslaughter, but she hasn't gone to trial yet. I guarantee you, if she does any jail time, it'll be a year or two max, which I don't think she'll do any.
Yeah. She'll probably get that, and then they'll do a plea or some shit, and she'll get what do they call it, probation or something?
Yeah, probation or maybe 6 months in county jail. I could do 6 months in fucking county jail. I could do that right now if I had to.
But if I'm honest, though, I think it's to be not guilty, if I'm honest. But
you think she should be not guilty?
No. She should. She's fucking guilty of murder.
Right? You think that they're gonna give her not guilty?
Yeah, like that's
yeah.
And maybe that's just me being negative because that's just the feeling, right? I mean,
no,
I don't want to get my hopes up.
I have no hope.
Cops are the only people that get caught on tape doing something, by the way, and they get not guilty. They're the only people on earth.
Well, Eric Gardner, that dude shoot somebody. If we shoot somebody in that situation on tape, we're going to prison, and we're going to prison for either life. Well, you live in fucking Texas, which I believe is a Commonwealth state. You're going to get capital murder. You're going to be in jail for fucking life. You might get the death penalty in your state.
Probably.
And And me, I'm getting life, no doubt about it. I'll just be life sitting there somewhere rotten.
Like, look, there's a dude. Let's say you're walking down the street, right? And somebody is selling cigarettes. I think you know where I'm going with this, but you're walking down the street,
Yeah.
somebody's selling cigarettes. You tell him, you try to be holier than thou, and you tell him, hey, stop selling cigarettes. That's illegal, right? And he says, no, fuck you. And then you just take him down and you choke him to death. And they catch it on camera. What's going to happen to you?
If I do it, I'm going to fucking jail for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But what's funny about that guy, Eric Garner, I lived in Staten Island, but I don't live in that area because I moved from Brooklyn to Staten Island, but that area right there is more of a bad area per se. It's right up the street from Stapleton Projects where the Wu-Tang came from, kind of close. And
yep.
A lot of police brutality goes on in that area. From when I've spoken to the people in that area, when I go over there, a lot of shit goes on over there. That's just the story that people videotape. But a lot of people get their heads kicked in over there. Don't get it fucked up.
Well, look, all a police officer has to say is stop resisting, and they could do whatever the fuck they want to do to you. You know, it's not funny, but you know, one of the dumbest shit. I was gonna say the funniest things, but it's when they're like kneeing somebody who's in the ground, right? They'll be fucking kneeing them in the ribs and telling them to stay still.
No, it's unnecessary, bro. You gotta know how to control another human being.
Isn't it almost impossible to stay still while somebody's kneeing you in the head and the knees and the kidneys?
No. It's impossible to stay still when somebody's choking you. You literally feel the life coming out of your body. You're going to resist.
Yeah.
Period.
Stop resisting. Pa, pa, pa. Stop. Pa. These fuckers, like, they know what they're doing, man. Like, I saw one of a guy, he literally said, hey, you're under arrest, and he tased them immediately. As soon as he said it, he tased them. They didn't even give the guy a chance to like turn around or anything.
Well, honestly, I would rather a cop tase the shit out of me and I just go over like a fucking sack of potatoes than him choke me to death. Yeah, I'd rather that. Just tase the shit out of me. Don't shoot me and don't choke me to death.
Yeah, you know, a big problem with these cops, though, it's a combination of two things, right? Number one, whether people want to face this or not, okay, that there is a lot of systemic racism in a lot of these police departments, right? And that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, and that's fine. I'm not saying every single cop is racist, but way too many cops have been caught texting racist shit to each other, and it's happened way too often, you know, in certain police departments, and some more than others. But aside from that obvious problem, I think the training is fucked up, man. These dudes they're trained to be so paranoid about everything. You know, take zero chances. Anything's a threat at any moment, anytime. You know, if a guy, even if you ask him for his wallet, if he's reaching, he might have a gun, so you do what you got to do. Like, they're just trained to be paranoid about everything. And usually their excuse, if you look at, and they always get not guilty every single time, was I was in fear for my life. That's all they have to say, right? That bitch that shot that dude, who's going to, I forgot her name, but she's going to say she was scared for her life, and she's going to get not guilty.
Yeah, she's going to.
I was just scared for my life. You know, I thought my life was in danger. Like, how do you, like, prove that she didn't, you know? Like, there's really no way to prove that, but it's still not an excuse to shoot somebody.
You can't prove that at all.
But these dudes should not be scared for their life, like every second of every day. You know, it shouldn't be.
The dealings I've had with cops where I live now are very good. But I'm just very good, actually, surprisingly good in this neighborhood. But like most of these cops that kill people, there's no way you can be scared for your life, because when the people see you, they're scared for their life automatically. They're not reaching for no weapons. They're not looking for no trouble. They're scared. The most thing they're scared for in the bad neighborhoods is that you find the drugs or or you found out they're doing something illegal. They're not trying to kill you. They're trying to avoid you.
Well, how is it that that guy got shot, right? But I always hear all these stories of these like militants, you know, these Second Amendment militants and shit. Um, they're like they're always like
Oh yeah,
pointing guns at cops and you know like threatening, like you
yeah,
know, I'm a sovereign citizen. They point guns at cops and shit. Sometimes they even shoot at cops. Somehow they come out
yeah.
with handcuffs. Like they don't come
You
out with
talk about those guys that confiscated what, like Native American land or some shit for like
like in
2 months.
Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah, in Oregon, and I think only one guy got killed out of that whole shit, and all of them had AK-47s and
And by
crazy
the way,
weapons.
he got shot because he was walking towards the cops, and they kept telling him, "Sir, get down, sir." He kept walking towards them. You
Yeah,
know, like it's
I know exactly what you're talking about. That was ridiculous. One out of like fucking 30 dudes got shot. That's ridiculous.
you know, and then not only that, like they made up with the sheriff, and they were trying to negotiate. Like what?
But I'm
Can you
gonna use.
picture a group of anybody else like stealing land,
I was
government
just about
land?
to say. I was just about to say that. I'm gonna use your dynamic. Let me get fucking 30 fucking cholos with tattoos and shit. One of them
Yeah,
walks towards you. All 29 of them are getting killed. Maybe one survives with vicious wounds.
maybe one survives just because they want to at least lock one up, you know, for the prisons. But
Yeah, yeah. They want to put one in prison for life.
yeah,
One survives.
they got to make profit out of that, you know.
That
Um,
is true. That's very true. It's ridiculous too.
um, Also, I don't know. Did you see? Speaking of New York, I did a video about this a couple weeks back, but that leaked audio tape of a police chief telling a police officer, "Hey, you haven't arrested enough like blacks and Hispanics." You know, he looked at the data and said,
Yeah. Not only what did he
"You
say,
haven't arrested enough of them."
he was like, what did that fucker say? He was like, so you're telling me out of 2 years or whatever it was, all these turnstiles, blah blah blah. You only got this many blacks and this many Puerto Ricans, blah blah blah. Whatever the fuck were you talking about? I was like, holy shit, this shit is racist. And the cop was being honest. He's like, bruh, what am I supposed to do? Arrest people for no reason? Got the ones I got.
Really?
That was ridiculous, and that tape just went away. That whole story just kind of went away.
Yeah, but you know, you always hear though, right? Well, this certain group, you know, these blacks, whatever, right? You look at them, they commit more crimes. Well, if police officers know that their police chief's going to get mad at them, maybe even fire them because they're not arresting enough of them, what do you think's going to happen? Of course, the statistics are going to stay that way, right? You know, they're not going to change.
Well, bro, that's why Puerto Rican and Dominican people, the people I relate to most of this life, is I grew up with them in the same neighborhood, and I've been on a wall for no reason with those two groups, and we ain't do shit. We were just going to the store to get a blunt. We were gonna go to the crib and maybe do some shit, but we're gonna do it in the crib. We're gonna do it respectfully, but we get in trouble for nonsense, and that's just a fact.
I don't know, man. This is just some crazy times we're living in. Um, who do you think's going to win, man? Hillary or Trump? What do you think's going to win ultimately?
Well, my vote's not gonna have anything to do with it because the person I'm voting for is polling at 2%. But if I could tell you who I think's gonna win, I think from reading the WikiLeaks document, it's telling me that the media is so fucking ridiculously biased that makes me think these polls are lies. I think and looking at Donald Trump's fucking crowd, this guy's got like 40,000 people, like he's a fucking rock star, and Hillary Clinton's got like 1,000 people. I think Donald Trump's gonna win in a fucking landslide.
You think so?
I
Nah, man. I
genuinely think
think.
so, bro. Because if you're honest with yourself, you look at this
Yep.
guy's crowds. This
Well,
guy's crowds are
listen.
retarded. And it's
No,
just
but
like, okay, this guy's drawing this many people in every state, every county, every town, and this broad can't get 2,000 people. So how is she leading? But then again, I don't
well, here's
fucking
why
know,
though.
man. You
Let
never
me explain
fucking
why.
know.
Well, when you look at the polls, you got to look at the methodology though. Um, the polls are never 100% accurate, but 20 independent polls can't be wrong, though, right? Plus, if Trump were to win, it would hurt, like, whatever poll like you're doing, it would hurt your business like forever at that point. You don't want to be the poll like I think it was Gallup or someone who had Romney winning like handedly. They were so embarrassed that they never did polls again. But here's the thing. It is true that Trump gets bigger crowds than Hillary, but I think there's a very simple answer to that. And that's because Trump's support, right? Because even if you look at the polling, right, it's still 37% of this fucking country that's supporting him, right? But that 37% though is like extremely loyal. Like they love the guy. He is like their hero. You know, so like they show up and they're excited and they buy T-shirts and yeah, Trump this and that. You know, it's a very enthusiastic group that he has. So they show up in droves and numbers. Whereas Hillary, she does have like her hardcore supporters, but most of the people voting for Hillary, they don't really support Hillary. They're just voting for her because they think she's the less of two evils. You know, and so they're not like all happy about Hillary. They're not excited about Hillary. They might not even vote for her 4 years from now. But
yeah,
they're not voting.
But speaking of that, right? That statement you said right there, the lesser of two evils. I think it's absolutely the opposite. I think Trump is the lesser of two evils. If I had to pick between them only, I would pick him over her because I think he's the fucking imbecile. He's not going to get anything done. He won't get anything done. She's going to get all kinds of fucked up shit done. But people don't understand that.
George Bush was an imbecile too, though. And like it was actually Cheney writing shit. You know what I mean? So I don't know how much truth there is to this.
Maybe Mike Pence is a fucking psycho behind the scenes. I don't know the guy enough to even know anything about him, really.
Yeah, Mike Pence is a weird dude, but and he like hates Russia, you know, but I don't think Mike Pence is very different though when you really look at it than Hillary. They're just different on the surface, but I don't know if you had a gun in my head, I had to pick. I'd pick Hillary. Not enthusiastically, obviously, just because. I just don't trust Trump. Like I know he's an imbecile. I know he doesn't even know the laws, and his own tax lawyer says he doesn't know like the tax code and stuff like that. But this is a guy. I mean, can you just picture like a world leader saying something nasty about him, and he gets pissed off, and I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like shit would just get worse. He talks openly about killing the families of ISIS, and he wants to increase military spending. And you know, he's when he says things like "I'm going to destroy ISIS so hard," what is he saying? He's saying he's going to do even more shit than Obama's doing in the Middle East. That's what he's saying, right? He's going to do it to
some
impress.
Fucked up shit.
Yeah,
but I don't like the fact that like I'm a slight conspiracy theorist. I mean, I'd say about 5%. And I don't like anybody that's connected with George Soros. And Hillary Clinton's connected with that dude. And that dude's a piece of garbage. I really hate that fucking guy. And from what I've learned about him, and I can't. And Hillary's connected with all these rich banking guys, which really bothers me because she's bought and sold.
Yep.
So whatever they want to do, she's going to do. Trump is a self-made man, at least at that. And his opinions are at least his opinions, even though his opinions are usually shitty, but at least they're organic.
Well, here's the
at
thing,
least
though.
they're organic.
Is he a self-made man, though, if you really look at it? Like, is he really?
Well, what do he got? He got, well, his father gave him, what? He probably gave him like $10 million or something. Or something. I don't know what his father gave him. I don't want to even research that. It's none of my business. But I know his father gave him some money to start his business. But he turned that money, whatever it was, and I don't know how much it was, so I'm not going to quote myself.
That's
on
what
that.
Donald says, but like most things, it's a lie. It comes out of Donald's mouth. But
Yeah,
He
it's
can't get
usually
a
a lot.
loan.
The guy's going bankrupt like 18 times or so. Not 18, that's exaggeration, but
I mean,
he's going bankrupt a million times.
his dad bailed him out several times when his dad was still alive. So Donald kept losing money for years and years. Um, and usually I wouldn't care, but he is running for president, so I did look into it. So have many others, but there is a lot of people suspect he really only has what his dad gave him. Um,
I
I
don't.
think
If that's how is that possible though? Logically, if I think about it, this guy's got his own plane. He's got buildings everywhere. So if he has no
well,
money
here's the
or
thing.
no, like,
Here's the
how
thing.
is he maintaining this illusion?
In a way, it is an illusion. Let me explain how. So like the Trump buildings, right? They're not his buildings. Like somebody paid him to put his name in the building, right? It's he made most of his money like off The Apprentice, acting like he was a great businessman. But look, let me put it this way: if he really was a billionaire, right, would he be running a little low scheme thing like Trump University, ripping people off like with 30,000 here and 30,000 there?
That
Would he?
shit does look suspect as fuck. Because if you're really making that much money, why the fuck are you scheming low
It,
money like that?
yeah, you
That's
know,
something. That's something. That's like some shit me or you would come up with
yeah. I mean,
if we
it's like
could, if
if
we're
somebody
criminals.
told me if somebody told me, hey, the police in Las Vegas just arrested Floyd Mayweather. Why? He was selling blunts in the street. Like what? Like why would he do that? Like what? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. The guy's a billionaire.
Why was he selling blunts in the street? Like what? Like the cops are fucking lying. Like it's a fucking lie,
I
right?
would agree with you on that. That I would make a video about that. Like, nah, that's a lie.
Yeah, like it's he has a lot of these little schemes that it just and look at all these
Now,
business
no, hold up,
that
but D
fail.
style. If they told me Tyson Fury was selling blunts in the street, I might believe it because he's a fucking Looney Tune.
It's a shame what happened with that guy, but that's another story, man. Tyson Fury. I kind of like Tyson Fury too.
I did like Tyson Fury, and I still kind of like him. I'm not gonna abandon the dude, but I think he just fucked his career up.
If he has mental issues, he needs to just step away from the sport and just come back when he's ready. Because it's I don't know. That's what I think. But he's
I
gonna
don't
end
know.
up
We
like
did
Ronda
fucking.
Rousey. He'll be suicidal if he loses a fight or some shit.
He's all fucked up in the head, just like her, man.
Yeah,
But yo, I got to get out of here, bro. It's been good. It's been good talking to you.
yeah,
Anytime
definitely,
you want
man.
to do some more
So time.
debates on any topic, just hit me up.
Definitely, man. Peace out.
All right, man. Peace.